I want to start this video with full transparency. Perona is my favorite character in all of One Piece.
Keep the fit.
But part of why I love Perona so much is because her aesthetic and design speak to her character and staying power both figuratively and narratively. While I am not of the opinion that all of One Piece's female characters look the same, the more prominent ones who are called beautiful the most, the ones who come up high in popularity polls, are characters who do in fact have similar features. There is another end of the spectrum for Oda's character designs, in which he draws women in ways that make their looks or age played up for comical purposes, like my dear Doctorine or everyone's favorite cannibal, Big Mom. And this happens more than a few times. The character is designed to be ugly under the guise of being unique, to be the butt of a joke, like Kokoro, the station master of the sea train near Water 7's being a mermaid, was unbelievable because mermaids are supposed to be beautiful. But then we have Perona, who strikes the chord between unique and beautiful in a way that lets you know that she will be part of the story for the long haul, even if she's not at the forefront. Let's start with the most obvious part of Perona's design. She's adorable. Unlike any other character, she has striking features that don't scream beauty, but rather cute. Perhaps it's the arc that she's introduced in, that being Thriller Bark, but Perona's facial structure matches the atmosphere of the ship. Rather than looking like a swashbuckling marauder, in this place filled with zombies and ghouls, Perona stands out as almost belonging in a Tim Burton movie, complete with a giant rounded eye shape and beady pupils that very few characters in the series share. Given the arc that she's introduced in, there's a sense of morbidity surrounding her design, but also some goofiness. Perona's pre-time skip design sees her in a black and white crop top with 3 different heart designs, black and white striped tights, red buckled boots, and a red skirt with a golden heart buckle. If we were to stop here, this would be a standard tacky outfit. But Perona adds 3 elements that make her persona all the more telling. On Thriller Bark, a ship, not a kingdom, where the sun literally never shines, Perona equips herself with a regal mini cape tied together with a bow, a black and red crown with a black cross on top, and a pink and red horn parasol. Match this with the fact that body types weren't as clearly established pre-time skip, and the fact that Perona is pigeon-toed, we have a character whose wardrobe and body language reflect a superiority complex and immaturity. Perona, through her clear obsession with cute things, is equal parts straightforward and mismatched. At 23 years old, she dresses more like a child, and her behavior echoes that. Perona does not need anyone but Gekko Moria's validation, and that's only because she sees him as a father figure. For the most part, Perona's behaviors go unchecked, much like a person who feels like they rule a place. As Moria's daughter, Perona feels like, and very much is, the princess of Thriller Bark. This design and behavior go hand in hand with her devil fruit, which is one of the few times that I was able to guess before reading what it actually was. What exactly does a brat who thinks they own everything do best? Or at least want to do? They demean others. And between her outfit and body language, it's only fitting that Perona carries the hollow fruit, the devil fruit that has 2 unique powers that we've seen throughout Perona's time in the One Piece universe. The first is being able to use negative hollows, little ghosts that cannot be attacked and, when passed through a person, makes them think only negative thoughts to the point of immobilization. The second is being able to use mini hollows, which are essentially bombs that latch on to someone before detonating. These 2 powers fit Perona's character perfectly as a childish person with a superiority complex, one who thinks of themselves as royalty can only do so by making other people feel small. And what better way to do that than to demean them to a place of inferiority or not having the will to fight back? We can gather all of this from Perona's design, yes, but there's an extra layer to this. As I said, Perona is inherently adorable, which Oda typically doesn't do for human characters, so why go through such pains for a side character? Her father figure, Gecko Moria, the main antagonist of Thriller Bark, whose name, Mori, means death, has a less memorable design than his daughter. Well, the main thing is probably marketability, but also because there's a better opportunity to flesh out One Piece's story through her. So when the end of the arc nears, and our beloved Kuma yeets the main cast out of Thriller Bark, Oda ensures that the only other person who gets that treatment was Perona. Perona, memorable as she is, has a special role after the post-war arc. Having been teleported to Kuraigana Island, she finds herself in the care of Mihawk, an unlikely duo certainly, especially after being left with the impression that Mori is dead. But shortly after she shows up, Zoro shows to better himself during the 2 years that the Straw Hats are separated, and it is here that we see a grander picture. Though maybe not intentional on Kuma's part, the story led to both Perona and Zoro growing in different ways, pseudo-siblings under a pseudo-father, this being Perona's second. And their time with Mihawk, though not shown in extensive detail, can be inferred as a groundbreaking time for both. For how cute she is, Perona is not royalty. Zoro needed to be humbled to become the world's greatest swordsman, and it's after their time with Mihawk that we see a significant change for both characters, both aesthetically and personally. Zoro officially has the largest bust in One Piece.
Second, you fool.
But also more confidence. And Perona has a very special wardrobe change. While she does still have some childlike tendencies, with her pigeon-toed legs not changing when airborne, and her preference towards cute things all withstanding, her manner of dress has shifted from bratty to full-on gothic Lolita. She now wears a frilly black and white dress, and a top hat with white flowers. While this does keep with her morbid theming, it could also allude to her quiet mourning of Gecko Moria, which is a nice detail that the flowers add, with white roses symbolizing sympathy and remembrance. White roses also symbolize purity and innocence, as Perona still keeps some childlike tendencies and has new beginnings as we see her grow out of her superiority complex. Her red boots and umbrella have remained, but even her hair goes from pigtails to a more mature float-down look. Perona has become something different, but her inherent character stays the same and is still in keeping with her devil fruit. It's amazing that in a series where body types are shown extensively, with women in One Piece either being large, having hourglass figures, or being children, Perona's is one of the few women whose figure is obscured, because her fashion is her character, and she is truly one of a kind. I love Perona's time skip change because her attire tells the story of a person who has to grow and has the ability to take something negative, which her devil fruit embodies, and make it positive. And Perona is popular, holding a spot in the top 30 in the 5th, 6th, and 7th popularity polls. More than a boy with a scar on his face, or a man with a scar on his face, or woman who looks like this, or this, or this. Perona's design stands out as my favorite because it is the easiest identifier in all of One Piece to tell me what a character is about. And seriously, look how damn cute she is! Thank you for joining me for this fashion deep dive on my favorite One Piece character. If you want to see more like this for One Piece or other series, let me know in the comments. And I'd also like to thank this video's Patreon patron, Over Encumbered Cucumber, for supporting the channel. If you want videos early, you can become a free patron today. or join the $1 one and only tier to get shoutouts and extra content. Until next time, take care.